So today's podcast, I have the infamous Chase Reiner, who I'm sure needs no introduction to the world of digital marketing. So Chase, thank you very much for taking the time to come on. How are things with you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. I think this is actually the first podcast I've ever been on with somebody. I ran one for about a year and I was constantly interviewing people, but it's actually kind of cool to be on the other end.
Yeah, I think it gets boring asking the questions all the time. You can't demonstrate your personality or your knowledge to any great degree because you're the one doing all the probing about. But yeah, it's great to have you on, and I'm sure putting you on the kind of limelight for once is also going to be good. But as I said to you, the reason I want to get you on is you have a similar following to me where people either love you or hate you. And I watch it from afar. We've never worked together and stuff like that. But obviously, you're making enough noise for you to be probably on everyone's radar. Good, bad, or indifferent. And I obviously just want to talk to you about that because obviously we're all here to make money and do the best we can at marketing, and that's something clearly you have in abundance. But what goes along with that is a whole bunch of abuse and stuff like that. So, I know you've just recently launched a video saying you're out of the SEO game. Just to kick things off, is that something that you are actually doing? Are you getting out of SEO for real?
Yeah, I mean, and I think it really depends on what you define SEO as. So, like when I first started doing this stuff, probably about 2016, it was like pretty easy, in my opinion, to kind of like optimize the keyword density or something on a page and then kind of see that sort of change the rankings, I guess you would say. These days, it doesn't seem like that anymore. It seems more like, the big things that you need to have are sort of a lot of trust, authority, engagement, and audience, that kind of thing, in order to really kind of grow wherever you want to be on, whether it's on Google or YouTube, or obviously for me, I have a way bigger following on YouTube than I do anywhere else. But the whole reason for that is because, I found out that there was so much competition on one search engine like Google. So I spent my time working on something with less saturation. Now, in terms of being out of the SEO industry, I think SEO is sort of this ever evolving kind of like catch buzzword in a way, because SEO could be defined as so many different things. Ideally, if you're doing search engine optimization, you're optimizing for a search engine, right? It doesn't just have to be Google, but I think people automatically assume that it's Google because that's where most of the SEO happens. So in terms of me being out of the SEO game, I think I was referring to I'm out of the like communities of SEO people because, as we kind of been sort of bringing up, it seems like these communities happen to be a little bit more toxic than if you were to just be in like a more marketing type environment. I mean, any community, if you get growth, you're going to have a certain level of hate. But I've found that within the SEO community, it's almost like 100 times what you'd probably expect anywhere else.
Yeah, I've had a fair few bits of toxic stuff myself. As I said to you, someone had actually threatened to cut my newborn baby's throat because they didn't like what I was saying or don't like me for whatever reason. And it's weird, like you can sit on a YouTube channel or whatever it is you do, and there is that level of hate out there for you. I mean, what is the kind of level of hate against you? What sort of things are happening? Is it just mild abuse, or does it get worse than that?
Well, for me, it's interesting because I think a while ago, I'm not. You probably didn't hear about this, but a while ago, I wound up almost completely deleting my YouTube channel and my Facebook group, and I actually did end up deleting a bunch of videos off my YouTube channel because I was so fed up with all the hate, and I was getting, probably 10 to 20 people messaging me and commenting every day, telling me that I needed to stop doing what I was doing. And so I wound up actually losing a lot of rankings and traffic on my YouTube channel, which took me a while to get back because I just kind of lost it. And there's been a couple times that that's happened, but I think the big thing for me is that, like, no matter how much hate I get, because I get all types of hate. I get people who are just completely out of their mind saying that I'm like, doing things that are malicious to kind of trick the whole industry or whatever it is. And for the most part, like, the only things that I'm really doing is I'm just spending my time trying to figure out how to, like, increase my marketing, increase the things that are going to bring people into opting into whatever I'm giving away or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the more hatred that I get, and actually lately I've been getting more hatred than I've ever gotten, I think, in my entire career. I think there's a huge correlation between that and how successful you are. And I think the SEO industry, and I try not to talk too bad about it, but I think the SEO industry is sort of, who's number one in a sense, right? So everybody's constantly comparing themselves. And I think when you are number one in people's minds, it's almost like beating them on Google. And I think people get really insecure about it.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy, the responses. But has the level of abuse ever been on a physical basis? Have you ever been attacked or threatened to be killed or any of that kind of stuff? Does it go as far as that?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think I usually let it get that far. I think once I start seeing people kind of going in the direction of just going completely insane, like, for instance, I probably ban like 5 to 10 people out of my Facebook group a day because we get like 50 to 100 people entering it a day. And this one woman the other day was like, "Hey, I saw that you took a screenshot of your Stripe account, and whatever money you made wasn't true because you photoshopped it." So then I was like, "Okay," and I sent her back a video of my screen record on my phone, opening up that, like, "Okay, here it is." And she just lost it. She was like going into like how I edited the video and all this stuff, and so once people start losing it like that, I'm like, okay, you know what? You're done. I'm just banning you from everything. I'm blocking you. I'm not talking to you anymore because I'm not going to deal with just insane people. Like, I think people kind of show you warning signs when they're insane, and you just kind of have to get rid of them.
Yeah, I think it's being able to identify that's the kind of key part of it. People have accused you of a number of different things that I'm aware of in the past, such as photoshopping out links from a screenshot. I seen one today. He's a scammer. What is the truth behind all of that? Did you ever actually Photoshop links out and claim that links don't work, or was there a bit of codology there in your part just to stir up a crowd, or whatever, or what is going on?
Okay, so this is a funny story. And the way this happened is I was coming up with a new marketing angle, like I always do. For instance, I love to say things like SEO's dead, or don't do keyword research, or don't buy SEO tools. Because why? Because I take whatever the industry average is in any sort of niche that I'm working on, and I try to reverse it, because then it gets engagement, it gets opt-ins.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened is I was trying to create a catchy thumbnail, which was like, links don't work, don't use them, right? And I was in the airport at this time. I was drinking. I was like, okay, let me just do like a catchy thumbnail. And what happened is I was trying to avoid the discussion of, oh, but there's links in the picture, because what happened was I created a skyscraper campaign after reading Brian Dean's blog back in like 2017, and I was able to rank for beginner fishing tips on a website without doing any link building. That's basically how it happened. But I was trying to avoid the whole, but there's links on this page, because I just didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't want to have to do this argument, whatever. And so part of the thumbnail is I took the links out because I didn't want to have an argument about them. Now, was I trying to trick the whole industry in saying that links don't like necessarily like rank pages? I don't think I was trying to do that. What I was trying to do is I was trying to just say, hey, look, this was an example of a page that I ranked without links. I don't want to have this discussion with you guys because you're not going to get it. And then, of course, it backfired on me. And I wasn't honestly really thinking about it because I was, again, drinking in the airport, and I was just like, why not just make a catchy thumbnail? And then this whole thing blew up about how Chase Reiner is lying and everything that he does is fake. And, he is secretly building links behind the scenes and all this stuff. And it's just like nuts, dude.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's certainly one I've heard. And as I say, sometimes you do things for a joke as well, and sometimes it's misinterpreted, or you do it to raise a reaction from people, and you get hammered for it online. Which I think is one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here, was obviously to get your side of the story as well, because it's all good and well people saying things about you online, but you never really, you don't always get the opportunity to defend yourself or explain the reasons behind it. And for me, it's there's always two sides to every story, so it was good to hear that. So what is your goal going forward then? Like, you've obviously created a massive following, and you feel that the SEO community is toxic to a certain degree. So is the job to remain slightly off radar, or what do you see yourself going to do in the future?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's still a lot of things that you can end up doing in the SEO industry and make a lot of money off of. And I think you can still totally get a bunch of clients and sell SEO tools, whatever you want to do. I don't think that market's really going anywhere anytime soon. But for me, I kind of identified that a lot of people who do SEO don't really enjoy doing SEO. And what they would prefer is kind of doing more like lead gen, sort of growth hack type stuff where they can take some easy tip and then, lead that into, oh, I got 100 opt-ins today or something, which you don't normally get with SEO. SEO is like, okay, well, let's go change the code on a website, or let's go build links to this page. And then hopefully in a couple months or however long, we're going to end up getting rankings, and then we'll get opt-ins, and then blah, 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 blah. And I found that most people are more interested in just like more type growth hack type things. So for me, like, I don't know, I kind of got bored of the SEO industry. I was spending like so much time trying to be the best on, on page SEO, and let's figure out how to learn the entire schema markup library and that kind of thing. And I just got so done with it. And so now what I do is I kind of just, I take whatever user generated signals I can. I bring people into some sort of opt-in, like a chat bot or something. And then I try to take those users and I bring them to some sort of page that I'm trying to rank. Like, for instance, if I wanted to rank a YouTube video, or if I wanted to rank something on Facebook really high in terms of, suggestion-based content, or even on Google, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this audience that I've been warming up and I'm going to trade them some sort of asset for engagement. So for instance, if I was saying like, on my last video, I said how to rank easily on Google without SEO or links. This video got 3,500 views and I think 70 comments within the first couple days, which is like 3 times what I normally get in terms of views. And it's like 10 times what I normally get in terms of engagement. And the reason why it did so well is because I told the people who watched the video, if you sort of send me a message and opt into my bot, I will trade you for this thing as long as you leave a comment once you get there. It's kind of a weird funnel process that I create, but I've been calling it authority hacking. I'm trying to think of a different name, but it's a lot more fun to me, and I think it's more fun to other people as well, and you can still end up ranking things in a way.
Yeah, it's just trying different things to be able to get people into whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And I think getting user generated signals by offering value, it's a smart move to be able to do that. And I think that's one of the things I see about yourself is that people always ask me, what do you think of this guy? He's and they start slaughtering you and calling you every name under the sun. And I'm like, but the guy's a good marketing guy. He knows his stuff. He's everywhere. And even when someone was talking about you today, it was on a Facebook post, and right beneath that post was a sponsored ad from you. And I'm like, bloody hell! It's so it's one of those things. It's certainly something that no one can take away from you, as you obviously know what you're doing in terms of creating audiences and everything else. But if you could change, so start again, so go back to 2016 or whenever you started, would you do the same thing again, or do you enjoy being in the public eye? Being that YouTube guy or that guy everyone either loves or hates, or would you go off radar and do something different?
This is actually an answer I'd like to hear from you too. But I think if I were to go back in time, I first of all I would have told myself, hey, look, man, all these people who are interacting with you constantly, most of them have nothing to do with anything that you're doing. And like, no matter how much time you spend doing something, there's always going to be people that agree or disagree with you. What ends up happening is that as you get more people viewing you, you just end up getting more people on both sides. And I honestly believe that when you have people half hate you and half love you is when you're in the sweet spot. So like, for instance, my last video, 29 dislikes, 71 likes, right? And when you're only getting likes or you're only getting dislikes, you're obviously doing something wrong in a way, because there's not really, you're not saying anything new. When you have something where you're getting people who are either hating the heck out of you or loving you, like let's take Tai Lopez, for instance. There's so many people who hate Tai Lopez, but then there's also these other people that are like obsessed with Tai Lopez.
Yeah.
And that's because it's marketing. That's what really good marketing does, is it creates controversy. And I think if I would have gone back in time, I would have told myself that when you're a good marketer, you want to take your feelings out of it and look at everything objectively, in a sense where you want to think about, how can I create as much controversy as possible? And really the only thing I care about at the end of the day is, am I getting people opting in, and am I making money at the end of the day? Because I mean, I make probably like 4 to 5K a day now off my funnels, which I wasn't making anything close to before when I was doing SEO stuff. And I was miserable. Like, I was making money, but I was miserable while I was doing it.
So would you say, hand on heart, some of the stuff that you do now is just to generate controversy, or just get a bit of a reaction from the crowd, like just some of the kind of titles of your videos and stuff like that? Would you say that's a deliberate ploy just to stir up the crowd?
Well, no, I mean, part of it I'm like super invested in. Like, a lot of the things that I put out there are things that I spend a lot of time working on and trying to think of. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, if I'm doing a video or if I'm doing a post and I'm not getting any engagement, I'm not getting any opt-ins, like, what's the point in me doing it? And I've found that there's a direct correlation between taking what people normally think about something, reversing it, and then putting it out there. Because it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, if, let's say, the new iPhone 11 came out, the first thing people are going to think about is, well, how do I set this up or something, right? They're thinking about their new iPhone 11 that they're going to have. Now, if you reverse that, what everybody wouldn't be thinking is, how do I break my iPhone 11? Now, if you put that in front of people, people will watch it and people will engage because it's weird.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. It makes a lot of sense. Plus, it's a lot more fun. Who wants to keeps regurgitating the same old crap about any kind of subject, whether it's the iPhone or not? I think for me, when I talk at a lot of conferences and whatnot, and I've got this reputation now as being the guy that stands with shorts and a t-shirt on, that has tattoos, that swears a lot, that does black hat shit, like whatever. And obviously, I didn't set out, I didn't in my head go, I'm going to go and dress like this. I'm being myself. But I think you have to stand out from the crowd, and you have to, I chose to do the black hat stuff because it's more fun, it's more engaging. I don't particularly want to talk about site audits or anything like that. And I think creating a bit of controversy and saying stuff that, even when I do black hat talks, sometimes I say things that I've heard another person do, not necessarily myself, something wild and outrageous, and it's just to create hysteria among the other people. I obviously, I don't like to go out and chat shit as such, but as I say, if I heard of a good black hat trick that someone once done, I'll pass it off as my own, just to get the crowd and the audience going in to get more views and everything else. So I totally get it. It's a lot more fun that way as well. And as long as people can read between the lines, though, I think you're probably one of those guys that are slightly misunderstood online as well, where people actually, take everything so serious, what you're saying, and go, he must be insane to say that, links don't work, or, whatever. And obviously I've seen one other thing that actually springs to mind, as you said, you're the best SEO in the world, which I think, or the best SEO in the Santa Barbara or whatever it was. And obviously a lot of the SEO community are going, he's not, I am. And, it's that whole ego thing. And, these kind of things do get to people, and it gets your name, it just gets people talking about you. So it's obviously very, very clever. But for me, to answer what I asked you, would I change how I would approach things? I probably wouldn't. I think I've enjoyed the kind of bumpy ride that it brings, and met a lot of good people through being in the kind of limelight, because then people come to me at events and talk to me, and it saves me being the guy in the corner that doesn't know anyone. So I think it's got a lot of positives as well, as well as obviously some of the crappier stuff that I've dealt with in terms of haters and stuff. I've physically been attacked and stuff as well at conferences, believe it or not, which is why I was asking you the question. But obviously I go to a lot of conferences, and I'm not sure if do you attend a lot of conferences, or would you ever attend conferences, or are you like that would be too much trouble?
I think the only time I've actually really attended conferences was when I was like sort of brand new and nobody really knew about me. But I don't know how it would go now, honestly. I would be a little bit worried. I was actually thinking about that. It's so funny. I was thinking about that before we even talked today. I was like walking to get some iced tea, and I was like, I wonder what would happen if I went to a conference these days.
I think, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what would happen. Certainly, from the kind of feeling I get, I think some people would love it, and I think some people would probably pour a beer over your head or something. But it's one of those things. You've got to settle for what you've got. But obviously, what you're doing is clearly making you good money, and no one can dispute that. I know you've got people saying you don't earn this or you don't earn that. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing if it wasn't paying off for you. And I think a lot of people don't understand. I bought a website, actually, an Amazon affiliate website, for 10 grand, which is quite a cheap website in the grand scheme of things. And I had a guy at a conference come up to me saying, "There's no way you would ever spend 10 grand on an Amazon website." And I said, "It makes $1,000 a month. Like, why wouldn't I pay 10 grand for it?" And he's like, "That's impossible. There's no one out there spending that amount of money." And, some people think that, these figures are unachievable, or they can't earn that money or whatever. But, if you're doing marketing and everything else properly, you can make a hell of a lot of money as well. And, people will call you a liar regardless of whether you show them your bank balance or not. Which is complete madness. But it's just part of the world, I suppose. I think when I messaged you earlier today, I think you mentioned when you're making good money, these people seem to come out the woodwork. And I'm not sure if you can direct that to jealousy, if you like, or whatever. But it is what it is, and we're never going to change the world from that. But it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs that people think they can just do the kind of trolling online. Do you ever think of just forgetting about your Twitter and your Facebook and jacking it all in?
I used to a lot, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I looked at these people as like kind of really prominent, I guess, in my life. All these people that would talk to me or send me messages or comment, I would really kind of take a lot of the things that they would say personally. And it's funny, I went to this mastermind one time. It was I think it was about a year ago. It was one of Alex Becker's masterminds. And that guy, I mean, he's been talk about getting shit. That guy's gotten so much. And I remember I was drinking with him. We were at the bar. And I'm not kidding. He legit reached out and gave me a slap because I was so upset about how everybody was always making fun of me, or like how I constantly, had hate, that kind of thing. And I don't know what happened, but from that point on, I kind of like, I just stopped caring. And like now when I see people commenting and I see all this hate, I I like look at it as a money. I look at it as opt-ins. I look at it as like free marketing.
Bloody
Um, yeah, and I think it's a really acquired skill almost to kind of disassociate yourself from not like really really deep down feeling anything. Because even though like back in the day I would say, well, I don't care, I still cared. And these days I 100% do not care. Every time I see like a post blow up about how awful I am, it's like I look at it and I'm like happy about it. And I interact with them. Like I'll troll them and I'll be like, oh, so why do you think this, that kind of thing, because I
Yeah,
want them
that
to keep talking.
it's a great way to look at it. I think I'm in a similar boat to yourself, where I used to take a lot of it personally, but I've seen it happen to so many other digital marketing guys. I mean, obviously, Alex Becker, Neil Patel, all of these guys, severely take a beating online. And I think you're right. Any degree of success, and you're going to get it regardless of who you are or what you look like or whatever. But I think regardless, at the beginning, it's still you still have to. You wouldn't be human if you didn't take it personally. I think it's just. Would you agree that it's just over a period of time you just like, I'm not giving a fuck anymore. This is a drain. I think certain people out there could take it. It would scare people off of continuing to do their job and making money. So I think it's a great achievement that you're able to look at it and see it as an opt-in. Did you get like help for that, or advice, or training, or is that something that just came naturally?
I think after a certain amount of time of me just getting beat up and beating myself up, I think it's a learned skill. And you see this a lot with people who are going on cameras. Their first times they go on cameras, they're super nervous. They won't look at the camera. People are talking. There's like 5 people in chat, and they're like all nervous about them being there. And then, as you get more and more sort of hardened, I guess, you kind of like just don't really care what people see about you anymore. And people are going to perceive you however they perceive you. But that's what's funny is like you take all these people who are supposedly like professional experts, whatever you want to call them, guru people. I don't know. They don't like to call themselves gurus, but they act like they know everything. And these people will not go in front of a camera. Like they will not. You can't get them on a podcast. You can't get them on a YouTube video. They just won't do it. And then you get on the flip side the people who are experts, and they get on camera and nobody wants to listen to them. Like they're getting 0 views. I mean, look at people like Bill Slawski. He's been doing a YouTube show, podcast thing for, I don't even know, like forever. And how many views does that guy get? He gets like, I think like maybe like 100 views if he's lucky on a video.
Yeah,
And that guy knows way more than I do about SEO, like than I would ever know.
yeah,
But I get way more interactions than he does. I get way more opt-ins, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to like, just because you know SEO doesn't mean you understand marketing. And I think what happens is a lot of these people who are supposedly experts, or maybe they know a lot about SEO, but they just don't know how to market themselves, or they're too scared to learn how to do marketing. And that's the skill. That's really what people buy. I mean, you could like take Ty Lopez. He doesn't, I don't want to talk shit about like Ty Lopez, but he doesn't necessarily have a lot that he sticks to in a way. He kind of just, goes with what's trending, and then he sells other people's stuff because he doesn't want to sell his own stuff. He does marketing well, and he gets people in, and then he sells other people's stuff. And that's not bad, but the whole idea is like, look, if you're in the industry, you're in the SEO industry, and you're thinking, hey, I hate this Craig guy, I hate Chase, like you got to have a certain level of respect for what we've been able to do, even if you hate us. And I think that's why, you look at people like Alex Becker and Ty Lopez and that kind of thing. And if you're smart, you respect them. If you're not smart, then you kind of just hate them and you don't really see any positive in it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, and I totally agree with the Bill Slowaski situation as well. Bill's a lovely guy, fountain of knowledge, and everything else. And yeah, he's not getting the same engagement as yourself because he's obviously he's not doing the kind of drama side of things, if you want to call it drama, or crazy stuff or anything like that. He's a lot more reserved than that. But who wins at the end of the day? The guy with 100 views or the guy with thousands of views? That was obviously going to be up for debate.
But I mean, but it also depends on what you want, because like Bill likes that lifestyle, and like for me, I know personally based on A/B tests that if I start talking about what Bill talks about, like Google patents and like the next most sophisticated thing about SEO, the problem with that is people in general that are watching your stuff, they don't care. Like the average person, the reason why they're on YouTube or the reason why they're on Facebook or the reason why they're doing anything is because they want to make money. Like they don't care about the next Google patent unless it has something groundbreaking to do with them making a bunch of money. And like once you get that mindset and you realize that if you can't tie what you're doing back into some sort of solution to making money, then people are not going to care. And like unfortunately, people like Brian Dean and Neil Patel and whoever else, the people that are doing really well, you have to target more general things that makes you look like you don't know what you're talking about, because you're targeting the people who are really going to be watching your stuff. When you get 100 views from people who are all SEO experts, like that's like terrible, because all of those people are just going to be highly critiquing everything you're doing, and you're never going to be good enough. And no matter what you say, they're going to know more than you. So why not go for the audience that loves you, and you're saying basic stuff, but you're actually helping a lot more people and you have more control. Once you start building up enough authority and enough, engagement, that kind of thing, then you could become more of the expert and go into something more like Bill Slawski type thing. But I think it's a bad idea to start out as the expert. You want to start out as like the person who creates a bunch of controversy and authority, and then you build that into a more respectful following.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And finally, one last question I want to ask you, and then I'll let you go on and carry on with your day. Is give me the top 3 worst insults you've had online, or the funniest, the worst or the funniest.
Okay, so I think the funniest is the time that I did that. SEO is the links don't work. I think at one point there was like a meme contest where people were like, who can make the most fun of Chase? And there was just like hundreds of memes in Facebook groups of me. And I don't know. I for some reason that was just so funny to me, because it's like these people have so much time that they can make all these, and some of them were like really, really funny too. I think that would be like the number one. Number 2 would probably be like the fallout with Josh Brzezinski, where he and I kind of like, we were doing a podcast together, and I don't know what happened, but I kind of came off. I stopped the chant. I stopped going on there. And then he just started saying all this stuff about me. And then I was like, okay, well, then I almost deleted my entire YouTube channel. And then I think the third would probably be right now, which is all the controversy I'm getting about leaving SEO and switching over to this authority hacking stuff.
Yeah, interesting. But thank you very much for coming on, Chase, and explaining a little bit about what you've done and the controversies and everything else. Hopefully it gives people a bit more of an understanding of, about you personally and how you are going about, conducting yourself and everything else. I think it's helped me massively understand what you're doing a lot better. So yeah, thank you very much for taking the time. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
No worries.